Hey everyone, so in this video I want to try and answer the question, why is it important to practice writing? This is a question you get from students all the time, especially when you assign them something. They'll say, why do we have to do this? What's the point? Why should we practice this? Well, I'm going to try and answer that question because we're writing in a really unique time right now. We're writing in the information age, which is different than any other time before. So I want to answer this question by giving you a scenario, and you'll see where I'm going with it in a second, so just bear with me. So here's the scenario. You're standing in a large field minding your own business when you hear rumbling sounds in the distance. As the rumbling sounds grow louder, you begin to see a dust cloud rising just over the ridge a few yards in front of you. Instantly you become panicked because at that exact moment it dawns on you that the rumbling you're hearing is the sound of hundreds of wild bulls stampeding over the ridge. There are hordes of them and they're bearing down right on top of you. They're clearly faster than you and there's no time to escape. So what should you do? Survival experts recommend only one of the following actions. Here they are. First, lying down and curling up, covering your head with your arms. Next, running directly at the bulls, screaming wildly and flailing your arms in an attempt to scare them in another direction. C, turning and running in the same direction as the bulls, even though you know you can't outrun them. D, standing completely still, because the thinking being that they will see you and run around you. Or E, screaming bad words at your friends for insisting on a back-to-nature vacation in Wyoming. Well, here's the answer. It's C. When encountering a stampede of bulls, you should not try to distract them. If you cannot escape, your only option is to run alongside the stampede to avoid being trampled, because bulls are not like horses and they will not avoid you if you lie down, so you have to keep moving. So what does that have to do with writing? Well, we're going to talk about it. Basically, we're faced with a different kind of stampede, and it's a literacy stampede. So consider the following. More information was produced in the last 30 years than in the previous 5,000 years combined. A weekday edition of the New York Times contains more information than the average person was likely to come across in a lifetime in 17th century England. The blogosphere is now doubling in size every 6 months. And getting into college is more competitive than ever. UCLA once required an SAT score of approximately 1,000, but it's raised that to 1,700. And what's more, the SAT has eliminated the analogy section and replaced it with close reading and on-demand writing. And I have a video on both of those things, how to do active reading, which is similar to close reading, and how to do on-demand writing. So if you're going to be taking the SAT, you might want to check that video out. So here's the reality. The job market is rapidly changing. Unskilled jobs are disappearing. There are two reasons for this. One, technology is replacing menial jobs. So you see this with basically robots is what it is. And two, unskilled jobs are increasingly outsourced. So they're shipped overseas where people will work for far cheaper than American workers will, $1 a day or whatever. Today, 80% or more of the companies in the service and finance, insurance, and real estate sectors, which are the corporations with the greatest employment and growth potential, assess writing during hiring. In addition, half of all companies take writing into account when making promotion decisions. One executive remarked, "You can't move up without the writing skills," and that comes from the National Commission on Writing. So here's another scenario. You're living in the dawn of the information age. More than ever before in history, the ability to read and write will determine how far you will compete and prosper. People who read and write poorly will be left behind. Simply put, there is a literacy stampede approaching and it's bearing down on top of you. So what should you do? Well, here's your options. You can go home, sit on the sofa, watch a lot of Downton Abbey and hope the demands of the literacy stampede go away. You can stare the information age in the face, screaming wildly and flailing your arms in an attempt to make it go away. You can elevate your reading and writing abilities to the point that you can run with the literacy stampede. You can stand completely still, pray that the information age will avoid you, and you can scream bad words at your parents for conceiving you in the shadow of a literacy stampede. Well, what's the answer? You already know it. You have to practice writing. It's so important. It's not like it was in the past where it didn't necessarily mean that you would get a good job or a bad job. There was a lot of other factors, but really now if you can't write competently, you're not going to be able to compete. But here's my encouragement. Writing is hard and it takes practice. So when you make mistakes, maybe you didn't get a good grade on your English paper, don't be discouraged. Mistakes are how you learn. And I want to leave you with that. Mistakes are how you learn, but you have to practice. So I hope that this sort of answers that question that I get from students all the time. Why should I practice writing? it really has a lot to do with survival. So I hope that was interesting. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks.